consume the messages in Kafka. So previously we send multiple messages, okay, even though they have some like duplicate values, but they are different messages, right? So they are spreaded into different partitions, which is in different brokers. So by default, like we have three partitions, then they're gonna be evenly distributed in three different brokers. Okay, so it means that we have three servers. Okay, and now we want to read them out. Okay, so as a consumer, we want the consumer application need to read the message out. So very similar to the producer. Okay, so the consumer also need a dependency to connect to Kafka. Okay, and also the consumer need a connectivity configuration, right, to the Kafka cluster. So here we use localhost 29092. Okay, 29. Previously producer will use 39. So it's technically the same thing. Okay, so it depends. Because now Kafka is trying to get rid of zookeepers. So maybe at the moment you are learning or you're watching this video, Kafka official website, they don't recommend you use zookeeper. That is totally normal, but the concept behind the scene, they are the same. Okay, for Kafka partition and topics. Okay, so now in our code, okay, so we need a configuration as normally see. We need a configuration to configure the serializer because this demo is very simple, so we're going to look at a more complicated demo. So this demo, we use this just the numbers as the message type, right? So it's just nothing there, so we don't need to customize anything. But we do have another branch that we're going to talk about later. So this one will use these configurations. But now, okay, so we just need to inject, okay, the Kafka template, and then we can just use it to do, producing stuffs, right? You can just use this Kafka template. Okay, you can just, let's see, any method, Kafka template dot. You can see there's a send method. Okay, and also there's other methods that you want to use. You can also receive some message, okay, from the partition. But we don't want to do this manually. Okay, so like send, you have to do it manually because anyway you have to call the method to send out some parameters. But for read, okay, so we can use this annotation called Kafka listener. We just indicate the topic, and we can indicate the group ID of this consumer. Okay, so for each of this method is one consumer. Now actually we have two consumers. Okay, and then they belong to different group ID, different consumer group. Okay, and now if I start this code, okay, so the consumer, because we have a listener there, we have two listeners. Basically, we have two consumers, so they have to keep up and running. So that you can think of this as like keep waiting for the Kafka to get new messages, so they're gonna go ahead and process it. Okay, so after I start this consumer application, then this application won't quit. It will be there forever running, okay, until you close it. But by default, if you don't set up anything, okay, like from where you're gonna start reading the message, okay, so then by default, if I start this consumer application now, okay, and you will notice that actually there's no print out. Okay, so nothing is print out, and you can see the log. Okay, so this is just the Springs log, and then rest of those are Springs log. So we are trying to system out print align something, which is not good practice. Okay, but we just use for demo purpose. Print out something here, but it's not print out. It's because by default, once we start a consumer, then this consumer will start only read, okay, from the latest message. It won't read the previous old message. Okay, so this is the this is the default behavior. Okay, just like you can see the current offset is 6. Okay, so then this consumer actually, okay, it's reading from the 6 offset. Okay, so means that like if now I send a new message to the Kafka, then this consumer will start consuming. Okay, so this is the default behavior. Now if I send another new message, you can see offset 676767 and 12056. Okay, those are the message type and those are the offset. And we go back to the consumer. Okay, and here you can see here now received in consumer 1, received in consumer 2, received in consumer 1. You can see the message order it's not guaranteed. It's not like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it is because Kafka, the message are not in order if you are reading from multiple partitions. Okay, but the message will be in order if you read from the same partition. Okay, so because in the same partition they are saved in order. You can see if you have one particular partition. Okay, let's see partition 1. Okay, then 4, 6 they are always the same order. Okay, but for other partitions, let's see for 4 and 2, right? Because 2 is in second partition, 4 is in first partition. Do you always read 2 before 4, or do you always read 4 before 2? That depends. Okay, that's not cannot be guaranteed. So you can see here 1, 5, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3. Okay, so also we have 2 consumers here. Okay, so because we have 2 consumers, we have 2 listeners listening. So it means that like each listener they are reading different speed or different order, and they don't have any interference with each other. Okay, so they read things that's on their own, and also the message won't be removed. Okay, so even the read message out of the topic, the message will not be deleted. Okay, so if I refresh, you can see the message they are still there. Okay, so you can think of Kafka as a temporary storage of our message, and whoever want to read the message from the partition or from the topic, they can do it. They can decide from where, from which offset, or you want to read the latest, or you want to read the old ones. Okay, so it will always be there unless you want to delete the message. Okay, we have API to delete the message, and also we have the API to delete the topic. Okay, so to clear the partition. Okay, so if you manually do that, then everything will be gone. Otherwise, it will wait until the message got expired, or you can think of this when we create a topic, right? There is a TTL. Okay, so there's a time to live of the message. Okay, so that's the default behavior of the Kafka listener. So it means that like if I restart our consumer, okay, so here the consumer, if I close it and then start it again. Okay, and now you can see it's just still waiting there. It won't read from scratch. It will just wait for the new message come, okay, to arrive. It will just forget about the previous old messages. Okay, so then what if I want to read from the beginning? Okay, so let's take a break, and then I'm gonna talk about more usage of Kafka Listener. Thanks.